This is an L2 6-cylinder overhead cam. I bought this car, well actually traded this car. I traded a TA Tickfit for it. I think it's a very lovely, stylish car. But doesn't this car look a lot like a TC, you know, except this has 6-cylinder and the radiator shell is slightly slanted. So, you know, I think it has very pretty lines.
The year is 1933 chassis. The model is an L-type special. The car is built around the Musketeer trials cars. They made 3 cars similar to this. This was not built like this in 1933. In 1934, in actual fact, they took 3 L-type chassis and made 3 cars like this one. And they called them the Three Musketeers, and this one I call the 4th Musketeer, and hence it's called D'Artagnan. One of the original 3 exists, and that is Aramis, otherwise we wouldn't know how they put them together. So this is quite a faithful reproduction of what they did, and it seems to go just as well. But apparently they wiped the floor with them. The other interesting relationship is that the first 3 Musketeers that they made were based on 3 NEs that won the Ulster TT along the lines of the brown NE that Mike Allison has brought, which also in actual fact was not an NE but is basically built in the same way. And after the TT, those cars were not supercharged. They took the racing bodies off them and put K2 bodies on, and they were the first 3 Musketeers. The following year they were allowed to use superchargers again in the trialling, and then they built these, which were reputed to be over 100-mile-an-hour road cars, but basically they wiped the floor in the trial scene for 2 years. And then they were sold, and then they basically disappeared. As far as the Triple M goes, what you call the vintage cars, after 36 then they made TA Musketeers as well, which were even faster, but I don't think have so much character. But these cars we feel were the epitome of Triple M because they're made up of midget Magna and Magnet parts. It has a midget body on a Magna chassis with a Magnet engine on it. So you can't get closer than that to Triple M. The supercharger was difficult, but came out of the woodwork in the end. I have to say that the supercharger is not 1935, but
you got a reproduction, or?
Yeah, it's a fairly faithful one, but superchargers were used in all sorts of applications. They weren't just made for cars, they were used in farm machinery and factories and what have you. So the centre part is common to many things. It's only the flanges and the manifolds which were particularly made for MGs, and generally they stuck MG on most of the things that they did. So it was only a question of time before somebody started casting again, but it's a question of the quality of castings. They used to go up the hills that most people struggled in first. They used to change into second gear and go up in these things. The cars, of course, were work sponsored, so you know, there was more money available than for the normal individual. But when they did the TA Musketeers, then they had to be privately owned, and the works sort of just helped them out a little bit, you know. Basically, the looks of the car and everything are very typical of the trials cars that they made in the 30s. They made 4-cylinder ones, and the 4-cylinder cars were called cream crackers. And there were 2 teams of 3 of those, and I think 4 out of the 6 still remain. And basically we're all friends together. But the cream crackers had a brown top to the bonnet, whereas the Musketeers didn't. The Musketeers had the brown apron at the front, and that's how you can tell them apart, except for the fact that they're 6-cylinder, but many people have thought this was a cream cracker. It's not. It's only 6 inches longer. 2 extra cylinders, otherwise it's almost identical.